Hi dear friends, hope you all are doing well. Today we will study one of the most important topic of administrative law. Let us begin. The doctrine of legitimate expectations under the administrative law. A man should, we will begin with a quote. A man should keep his words, all the more so when the promise is not a bare promise, but is made with the intention that the other party should act upon it. So, administrative law is also overreaching in nature and it is difficult to categorize its multiple functions in watertight compartments. Consequently, multiple principles and doctrines have been formulated to ensure proper functioning of the administration. The doctrine of legitimate expectation. The doctrine of legitimate expectation is one among several tools incorporated by the court to review administrative action. This doctrine pertains to the relationship between an individual and a public authority. According to this doctrine, the public authority can be made accountable in lieu of a legitimate expectation. Simply like law of estoppel we have studied in the Evidence Act and Balfour versus Balfour case of contract law, that intention is important ingredient of a bipartite agreement. So इसी टाइप का ये भी कॉन्सेप्ट है एक्चुअली एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लॉ में. ए पर्सन में have a reasonable or legitimate expectation of being treated in a certain way by the administrative authorities. So basic principles वही एस्टॉपल वाला ही अप्लाई होगा यहाँ पे भी. So a person may have a reasonable or legitimate expectation of being treated in a certain way by the administrative authorities owing to some consistent practice in the past or an express promise made by the concerned authority, express or implied, same. So origin of doctrine of legitimate expectations. So we will deal with it. The doctrine is not a specific legal right engraved in a particular statute or rule book. The first time an attempt was made to stabilize the principles of the doctrine were in the case of Council of Civil Service Unions and others versus Minister for the Civil Services 1985. Alright, so this was the first case. His rights and obligations are altered. In this case, what happened? That a decision by the public authorities should affect the person such that his rights or obligations are altered, which are enforceable by or against him. So this is the basic requirement. He is deprived of some benefit or advantage which he had been permitted by the authorizing body in the past and which he could have legitimately expected to enjoy until a valid ground for withdrawal of the same was communicated to him, or he had been assured by the decision-making body that such a benefit or advantage would not be withdrawn until him being given an opportunity of contending reasons as to why they were withdrawn. So case survey, we will deal with a few of the cases based on this doctrine. Origin and development of the doctrine of legitimate expectations in India, because the earlier one was the foreign case of European courts. The doctrine of legitimate expectation was firstly discussed in the Indian arena in the case of State of Kerala versus KG Madhavan Pillai 1988 for SCC 669. This is a citation. Herein a sanction was issued for the respondent to open a new aided school and to upgrade the existing schools. However, an order was issued 15 days later to keep the previous sanction in abeyance. This order was challenged by the respondents in lieu of violation of principles of natural justice. So, respondent they challenged that this order is in violative of the principles of natural justice. The Supreme Court ruled that the sanction had entitled the respondent with legitimate expectation and the second order violated principles of natural justice. In another Supreme Court case, Navjyoti Cooperative Housing Group Housing Society versus Union of India 1992 4 SSC 477. This is the citation. First time it was discussed in India in 1988. In this case we discussed State of Kerala versus KG Madhavan Pillai, right? Then second, Navjyoti Cooperative Group Housing Society versus Union of India 1992, wherein the new criteria for allotment of land was challenged. In the original policy, the seniority with regard to allotment was decided on the basis of date of registration. Subsequently, a change in policy was made in 1990, 1990, year 1990, changing the criteria for deciding seniority based on the date of approval of the final list. The Supreme Court was of the opinion that the housing societies were entitled to legitimate expectation owing to the continuous and consistent practice, as we discussed the ingredients. So continuous and consistent practice in the past in matters of allotment. How the court further elucidates on the principle stating that the presence of legitimate expectations can have different outcomes, and one such outcome is that the authority should not fail legitimate expectation unless there is some justifiable public reason for the same, right? It is further emphasized that the availability of reasonable opportunity to those likely being affected by the change in a policy which was consistent in nature is well within the ambit of acting fairly. So अपनी एक नॉर्मल प्रैक्टिस से अगर अथॉरिटीज सडनली वो चेंज करती हैं अपना रूट, तो द पर्सन द अफेक्टेड पार्टी दे हैव द राइट टू क्लेम legitimately if it is not in violation of the any of the constitutional or statutory mandate. The Honorable Court held that such an opportunity should have been given to the housing societies by way of public notice. The Supreme Court elaborated on the nature of the doctrine of legitimate expectations in Food Corporation of India versus Kamdhenu Cattle Feed Industries 1993. That the duty to act fairly on part of the public authorities entitles every citizen to have legitimate expectation to be treated in a fair manner, and it is imperative to give due importance to such an expectation in order to satisfy the requirement of non-arbitrariness in state action, and or otherwise it may amount to abuse of power, right? So this is the basic ingredients and crux of this doctrine. There should not be any sudden shift from the already the customized practice by the authorities. If there is some sudden change which is in violation of the constitutional mandate or some statute or custom, then the remedy can be sought from the court against the order of the authorities. The court further made a remarkable point that such a reasonable and legitimate expectation may not be a directly enforceable legal right, but failure in taking into account may deem a decision arbitrary. To decide whether an expectation is a legitimate one or is context, it is a matter of context. Legitimate one is contextual and has to be decided on a case-to-case basis. In Union of India versus Hindustan Development Corporation 1993, Volume 3, SCC 499, the Supreme Court has dealt with the doctrine in great detail, starting with the explanation of the scope of the doctrine in Halsbury's Laws of England, 4th edition, Volume 1, page 151, which says that a person can have a legitimate expectation of being treated in a certain fashion even though he doesn't have a legal right to receive the same. Right? So, origin and development of doctrine of legitimate expectation in English law. The court discusses that how the doctrine of legitimate expectations first stepped in English law in the case of Smith versus Secretary of State for Home Affairs 1969, wherein it was observed that a foreigner who had been given leave to enter the United Kingdom had the right to be heard and had a legitimate expectation of being allowed to stay for the allowed time. The court further goes on to discuss the famous case of Attorney General of Hong Kong versus Nag Wen Siu 1983, wherein Lord Fraser, the famous judge Lord Fraser, had observed that if a public authority has vowed to follow a procedure, it is imperative it is important, pertinent, imperative on their part that it acts in a fair manner and fulfills its promise in the interest of good administration. The court remarks that there is an absence of meaning and scope of the doctrine of legitimate expectation given by the Supreme Court, and henceforth it would like to elaborate on the subject. The court distinguishes expectation from anticipation and states that an expectation can only be said to be legitimate only if it has a legal sanctioning. So it should not be violative of the any statute, any Supreme Court judgment, or the constitutional mandate, or any custom, practice, whichever everything which is recognized under Article 13. So any of the law, bylaw, custom, anything, it should not be violative, it should be reasonable, is backed by a procedure or a custom that has been followed consistently. This case can be categorized as a landmark one in the Indian discourse since it specifically draws the realm. So kindly note this case. This is one of the most important case for Indian perspective. This case can be categorized as a landmark one in the Indian discourse since it specifically draws the realm of the doctrine, stating that it does not involve a crystallized right and thus does not pave way for direct claim for relief, and the doctrine can be confined to the right of fair hearing in a situation where a promise has been withdrawn or negated. A substantive expectation does not necessarily amount to an absolute right unless the decision maker is not able to justify the withdrawal by overriding public interest, and more importantly, such a decision should be founded in arbitrariness, unreasonableness, and not justifiably taken in public interest. This should be the case of violation of the doctrine of legitimate expectation if these things occurs together. The court further enunciated that if the issue involves a question of policy or change in policy, then the court must remain in their domain and refrain from interfering. So, thus, legitimate expectation may lead to judicial review, but the scope of relief that can be given by the court is very limited. So, the amount of relief is very limited if this was a change in policy or a question of public policy matter. Circumstances for the formation of legitimate expectations. Circumstances which may lead to the formation of legitimate expectations were postulated in Madras City Wine Merchants versus State of Tamil Nadu 1994, Volume 5, SCC 509, namely if there was some explicit promise or representation made by the administrative body, the same ingredients which are mentioned in the under section 115 of the Evidence Act 1872 applying on estoppel. So it's a counterpart type of doctrine which is not expressly mentioned anywhere in the statute, but the ingredients are same exactly which are of estoppel. Although estoppel doesn't apply against the public authorities, but some kind of similarity is there. I won't say you directly go for the estoppel ingredient, but I'm drawing just analogy, right, for the clarity of concept. So that's in this case what happened, that such a promise was clear and unambiguous. This should be the requirement basically. The existence of a consistent practice in the past which the person can reasonably expect to operate in the same way. It was laid down in the PTR Exports Madras Private Limited and others versus Union of India and others, AIR 1996, Supreme Court 3461, that the doctrine of legitimate expectation has no role to play when the appropriate authority is empowered to take a decision under an executive policy or the law itself, and that the government is not restricted from evolving new policy on account of legitimate expectation as and when required in public interest. The Supreme Court ruled in MP Oil Extraction versus State of MP 1997, Volume 7, SCC 592, that the doctrine of legitimate expectations operates in the realm of public law and is considered a substantive and enforceable right in appropriate cases. It was held that the industries had a legitimate expectation with regard to past practice, and the renewal clause, that the agreements are renewed in a similar manner. in National Building Construction Corporation versus S. Raghunathan, 1998, Volume 7, SCC 66. The respondents were brought on deputation for an overseas project that was to be carried out in Iraq by NBCC government company. The respondent chose to draw their salary in the same scale as of employee of Central PWD along with deputation allowances. They were also given foreign allowances at 125% of the basic pay. However, their basic pay was revised. It was contended by them that this allowance should be paid out of the revised pay scale. The claim, which was based on legitimate expectations, was rejected by the NBCC. The court agreed with the decision that no such promise or agreement was carried out by the NBCC. The court, while elaborating on the doctrine, stated that the doctrine has its genesis in the administrative law and that the government department ought not to act in an unfettered manner guided by abuse of discretion. The court also pointed to a procedural aspect, stating that the contention of legitimate expectations should have been raised in the pleadings itself, and thus the High Court was erroneous in allowing the plea at a stage of arguments in the absence of pleadings and affidavits to support the same. It can be inferred from the aforementioned case that the doctrine has both substantive and procedural facets to it. It was reiterated in the case of Banari Amman Sugars Limited versus CTO 2005, Volume 1, SCC 625, that regarding legitimate expectation should not come at the cost of non-fulfillment of an overriding public interest. So to say that in case of legitimate expectation of a person is not fulfilled, the decision-making body can hide behind the veil of overriding public interest. So, Article 14 and legitimate expectations correlation. The doctrine's use has essentially been embedded in Article 14 of the Constitution, and thus non-arbitrariness and unreasonableness have been made the necessary qualifiers for assessing as to whether there was a denial of legitimate expectation or not. Such a mandate has made the doctrine quite redundant in the Indian context. For the doctrine to grow individually, it is necessary that lower standards are set as qualifiers, which undoubtedly may run its own risk, like a too much judicial intervention. So, to conclude, the doctrine has undoubtedly gained significance in the Indian courts, giving locus standi to a person who may or may not have a direct legal right. So, it is important. In India, it is a quite lenient view is taken by the Indian courts, because locus standi is granted even to a person who may or may not have a direct legal right. The doctrine of legitimate based on the Article 14, if there is a probability even of violation of the legal right, then also he can represent others. So the doctrine of legitimate expectations very well leads to a procedural right, that is, right to judicial review in India, but the substantive aspect of the doctrine can be said to be in a budding stage. There has been hesitance amongst the academicians as to whether the doctrine should apply to substantive rights at all. It has been argued that the application of the doctrine to substantive rights might result in failure of separation of powers and would qualify as overstepping of judiciary's powers. So this is the conclusion drawn by the famous jurists, academicians and judges all together, and all persons related to the legal and the legislative field. So thank you so much, friends.